So good morning, everybody. This is our Tuesday morning Vinyasa flow class, and I'm going to suggest that we start in a seated position. So let me just get reorganized here. I'm going to come to sit on my blanket, and I like to fold my blanket a couple times to give me some real height. So you can fold your blanket a couple times, and if sitting on the ground isn't available or not comfortable, feel free to sit in a chair. So coming to a comfortable seat to start today's class, whatever seat that you choose, try to make sure that your hip joints are higher than your knee joints. So if I took a marble or an alley and placed it in the curve of your hip, it would roll down to your knee, not the other way. And then you know whatever seat you've chosen is the best one for you today. And we'll take a moment just to feel our sitting bones root down towards the earth, to feel the connection we have with the ground beneath us and come to trust that. And then if you're comfortable closing your eyes, you're welcome to do that, or just look down at the ground. If your eyes are kind of resting, begin your breath moving in and out through the nose, and become comfortable with nostril breathing first. And then after you become a little bit more comfortable with nostril breathing, then we can gradually start to shape the breath into an even inhale and exhale. And because this is a flow class this morning, there'll be lots of movement. I want to really establish a real connection to the breath so that when we get into more complicated movements, we keep this calm, intelligent approach to what's happening in the body. Now, an option today would be to use Ujjayi breath, and many of you are familiar with this practice. Just to review a little bit, Ujjayi breath is a nostril breath, a very slow, rather deep engagement of the diaphragm as you're breathing. And there's a small closing of the muscles of the throat, not a really harsh, guttural sort of thing, but just a little bit of constriction so that the breath makes a little sound and a little sensation. So if you want to just review this, on the inhale, it's kind of like someone gives you a really wonderful surprise and you go, oh, and you have that kind of intake of breath through the throat. The focus is on the throat. Now, see if you can do that same throat action, but the mouth is closed and there's no sound. So it's more like, so you feel the breath moving through the throat most, and there's a little sound there. And then the exhale is kind of like you're fogging your glasses to polish them. That same sort of throaty sound, except the mouth is closed. So when you take the breath in and the breath out, there is a little bit of sound. And if people were close to you, they may not be able to hear you really strongly, but you can definitely have almost a listening to the ocean and a seashell sort of sound. So let's take about 5 rounds of breath, striving towards maybe a 4 or 5 second inhale, 4 or 5 second exhale with the Ujjayi, if you think that's going to work for you today. Just noticing as you focus on the breath here in your Ujjayi practice, that there is a sense perhaps of calm coming toward you, a sense of being able to concentrate on your body's movements a little bit more. And that's the point of using the Ujjayi this morning. Okay. And then let's come into our first little bit of movement. I'm going to stretch my legs out. And if you're in a chair, you can just stay seated in a chair and look at your toes. As you inhale, fan your toes out. And as you exhale, gather your toes in towards the ball of the foot. Inhale and exhale. And do that for one more breath, using your Ujjayi breath. On your next inhale, point the toes away from you. And as you exhale, flex your ankles. So this can be done seated in a chair as well. The breathing is what's really important here. One more breath. And then as you inhale, roll the ankles around in a circle in one direction, and then change directions as you exhale. Let's do that for one more breath. using that slow, patient Ujjayi breath that you've been working on. Perfect. And you can hang onto the chair or bring your hands behind you for balance. As you inhale, lift one leg and inch up off the floor. And as you exhale, drag the heel closer in. Inhale, stretch the leg out straight. And exhale, bend the knee. One more time, using your Ujjayi breath. And then stretch both legs out. Now we move to the other leg. As you exhale, knee bends. And I know these are very simple movements, but you're practicing timing your breath with the movement, which is a real skill, I think. We don't often do this in everyday life. Good. Okay, so we've worked through the legs a little bit. Let's work up the arms a little bit. Inhale, spread your fingers. Exhale, make light fists. Moving with your Ujjayi breath, practicing the discipline it takes to breathe in time with your movement. And when we get to more complicated flows with planks and things, you've got this down. Good. And then wrist circles in one direction as you inhale, wrist circles in the other direction as you exhale. And then those poor underappreciated elbows. Inhale and exhale. Okay, so coming back to the seat that you started with, cross-legged, or on the chair is fine. Dig your sitting bones down into your support. So be it the chair, a blanket, or the floor itself, dig your sitting bones down and create a real mental connection with what's going on in those two bones that poke into the ground. And then we're going to roll a little bit here. So the upper body kind of just stays more or less stationary. We're rolling in the pelvis. So see if you can roll over to the right sitting bone and forward to the left sitting bone and back at the sacrum. Inhaling and exhaling, using your Ujjayi breath. Let's do one more in this direction. Massaging all through the pelvic floor. And then let's turn around in the other direction. Rotating the other way. Inhaling and exhaling, so each circle takes an entire breath. Good. And then coming back to center. When you're ready, sit up tall. Inhale, lift the arms. And exhale, angle forward any amount that you can with a straight spine. Inhale, come back up. We're using our Ujjayi breath here. That 4 or 5 second inhale, 4 or 5 second exhale. We're keeping our ears in between our upper arms so our spine and neck stay in one nice line. Perfect. Inhale up. Exhale, twist to one side. Inhale back up. And exhale, twist to the other side. Do that a couple more times using your Ujjayi breath. So there's a little sound. And if you're seated in a chair, you're doing the exact same spinal movement and your lower body stays stationary. It's not shifting, if you can manage that. Good. And then this will even out from side to side if I just go one more. And then inhale, come up. And exhale, let yourself flow to one side using your Ujjayi breath. Inhale up. And exhale, flow to the other side. So today's class is like a breathing practice. The whole thing is pranayama, really. It's just we insert some movement to make it a bit more entertaining, I guess. But really, this is about breathing and matching the movement to the breath. So if you use your Ujjayi breath, it will give you just a little bit more, something to really hang on to. Let's go back to that first side. This is our inhale, exhale. As you inhale, pull back on the top shoulder blade, roll the heart to the sky. And then exhale, lean forward and touch out a little bit in front of your mat. And then come back as you inhale, using your Ujjayi breath. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's inhale both arms up. Ujjayi breath, long patient breath. Exhale a little bit forward. Inhale, pull the top shoulder blade back, turn the heart to the sky. So a couple more breaths like that using your 4 or 5 second inhale, 4 or 5 second exhale. Last one. And then coming back to your comfortable seat. So wherever you were, seated in a chair, seated on the ground, it's immaterial. Maybe come back to what we did at the beginning. Ujjayi breath. Maybe close your eyes and notice what that level of movement timed with breath has brought to you this morning. Reconnect with your breath. Reestablish that slow, patient rhythm. Okay, let's come over to all fours. Now, if all fours is uncomfortable for you, know that there's always the option of using the chair. So I'll just demonstrate that very briefly. Hands on the chair, creating table pose with your body, and then just follow along exactly what we're doing from there. If you're comfortable, knees on the ground, I always like to, as you know, use my blanket. Just a little extra kindness for my knees. I'll find table pose from here today. Create a stable table. For me, that means making sure that I'm taking the muscles in the middle part of my body and wrapping them into the bone. The fastest way to connect to that for me is using that Ujjayi breath and really being thorough on the exhale, taking the time there. And even at the end of the exhale, hugging the muscles in a little bit more firmly to make sure that I've really got rid of all the old breath. So try 2 or 3 Ujjayi breaths just in table pose, really noticing how you can create more stability. Wonderful. Okay, so we're going to take one leg, choose whichever leg you want to start with, and lift it up, point the toes straight down, point the kneecap straight down, and have it level with the ground as best as you can. And then when you inhale, just simply turn the leg so the knee faces out. And as you exhale, turn the leg so the kneecap faces in. Now, I hope I'm demonstrating that my sacrum is staying level with the ground. So as I turn the leg bone in the hip socket, a marble wouldn't roll from side to side. After you've done about 3 on one side, let's try the other side. And we're working on the muscles that help the hip internally and externally rotate. I've got one more to do with this leg. And then I'll come back to table pose. Take an Ujjayi breath or 2 to reestablish your core stability. And then when you're ready, let's inhale, stretch out that first leg again. And exhale, bring the knee in towards the chest. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Let's switch to the other leg. So we're keeping the breath flowing. Well, this is exciting out here. I can smell a skunk. My dog's running around. So we may have more excitement than we bargained for this morning. Good. And then let's take a brief break. So if you're in table pose on the chair, you can just take a seated mountain pose. If you're here on the ground with me, you might take a child's pose. I'm feeling like I just need to release through the hands and the wrists a little bit before coming back to table pose. Okay. When you're ready to move again, reestablish table pose, reestablish Ujjayi breath, breathing deeply in and out through your nose, creating that core stability. And we're going to add a little something. I just have to move my chair away so I have some room here. When you're ready, we'll take that first leg. Inhale and stretch out the opposite arm. As you exhale, bend the knee to the same elbow and pull the opposite arm back, straight back. So we're not touching elbow to knee. We're keeping the arm and the leg in their own lanes. It's a little bit more challenging, I find, and will really wake up that core. Good. Let's come back. Exhale to restabilize your core, and we'll go right to the other side. Inhale, exhale, inhale, and exhale. One more. Inhale and exhale. Perfect. Let's come up to a standing position. I'm going to move my blanket off the mat now. We'll come to the top of the mat and do a few half sun salutations. So let's find our first mountain pose together. Plant your heels into the ground the way you planted your sitting bones into the ground a little while ago. And reestablish your Ujjayi breath, continuing to hug the muscles around the core at the end of your exhale in particular. And when we come into this, for many of us, a very familiar routine of half sun salutations, let's bring a real level of attention to detail by weaving the movement with the breath. So rather than just up, down, it's a real exercise. It's a real pranayama exercise. So hands together at the heart to begin. And then when you're ready to inhale, use your Ujjayi inhale, lift the arms to the sky. Exhale, slowly float to the earth. Inhale, lift halfway, chest extends forward. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. And repeating that about 2 more times. Really following your own rhythm of breath. Using that Ujjayi breath. So there's a little bit of sound, a little bit of sensation as you breathe in and out. The breath never really stops flowing. And neither does your body. And then let's pause next time you get to mountain pose. Okay, so we're going to come into a little bit of a flow here. I'm going to return the blanket to the middle of my mat. So if I want to put a knee down, I can have that comfort there. Move back just a little bit. And if you're a fan of having blocks for postures like side angle pose or triangle pose, you might want to get them ready at the top of your mat. Okay. So let's break the flow down. It kind of weaves a lot of different postures together. So we'll break the flow down. We won't worry so much about the breathing at the beginning. We'll weave the pranayama into the movement as we get the movements into a more confident place. I think I start this one. Have to keep all these things straight. So at the top of the mat, in mountain pose, we start the same way as we just were practicing with a half sun salutation. So the inhale will lift our bodies up to the sky, and the exhales will take us into a forward fold. The inhale will bring us into a half lift, and then the exhale will come down. And we'll take the right leg and we'll step it to the back of the mat. So if you want to use a chair here, know that you can be hanging onto a chair. if touching the floor is just too far. And then what we're going to do is we're going to walk the hands back, walk the hands back, walk the hands back until we're ready to get into warrior three. So warrior three is a tough posture. We may be just playing with it a little bit rather than coming into the full expression of the posture. Sorry, it was the left leg we wanted to step back on that first one, but we'll play around to it. So yeah, so lift, no, right leg back lunge, I did it right. And then we lift the left leg. I second guess myself all the time. And then maybe we'll just play here and see what it feels like to have fingertips on the ground and a very bendy right knee and the left leg ready to shoot back. So this is a little echo of the shape you just made from table pose with a long back and kind of using your core to help you find integration. And then if this is going okay, you can always lift up the left arm, and that is a very much of an echo of the situation you were just in. And then maybe at some point in time, maybe today, maybe not, this would be the full expression of the pose. But there's no pressure to get all the way there in warrior three. You can be playing here for now. Then what we'll be doing is we'll be coming forward and coming into plank pose. So walking our hands forward on the mat again and coming into plank pose, drawing the left knee up to the left elbow, kind of a fun thing to do, and then dropping the left knee onto the blanket. Now, if you don't care to weight bear on the knee, what I would suggest that you do is just stay in plank pose. We'll be catching up with you momentarily for some more standing work. So dropping the left knee now to the blanket, extending the right leg out and rolling open in a kind of a side plank variation. We might change this up a little bit as we get into the flow. So your left hand's on the ground, your heart is open, the two arms are reaching away from the chest. And I also have some weight in my right foot here. And then if we want to, just for fun, shift your back leg, so the lower leg of your left leg, come all the way up. So you're balancing now on your left shin. And we'll move into gate pose from here. So my right leg's extended, right arm is relaxed on the right leg, and I'm curving like a half moon here. So I did half moon pose almost. Now I do my imitation, good. So now we're gonna move ourselves back to hands at the front of the mat. I'm pivoting onto the ball of the right foot, lifting the left leg. So those of you who didn't care to balance on your knee, now you can come out of plank into three-legged dog and shift the left foot all the way up to the front of the mat, finding lunge pose. Now this is where you might want blocks under your hands or hanging onto a chair. Pivot on the ball of the right foot and make your way up to warrior two pose. So just to talk a little bit about warrior two, we've come into this from a flow. So we don't have time usually in a flow to really fine tune everything the way we often like to. So just when you're coming into the pose, make sure that you keep the front knee in the same situation it was in the lunge. The knee right over top of the ankle, the thigh bone pointing out over the toes. The back foot isn't positioned exactly perfectly. Maybe you have time as we stay here for a few wide-legged side poses. You can kind of get that back foot adjusted if you need to bring that leg forward or pigeon toe the back foot a little bit. All those adjustments can be made as you move into this. So we'll be coming into the warrior two pose. Let's get familiar with that shape. And then we'll be coming into reverse warrior. So dropping the back hand, lifting the left arm, and moving into another one of those half moon type shapes. Keep the front knee exactly where it is. And then from here, we'll move into side angle pose. Now, if you like blocks, you can have blocks to get your hand too. I'm just going to bring my forearm to the front thigh for today. and sweep this arm over top of the top ear. So I have a long line of energy from the outer foot on the right side to the right fingertip. So we won't be staying long in any of these poses. I just wanted to give you an idea of what the shape might feel like. And then from here, we'll be looking down towards the floor, stepping the back foot up, half lift, forward fold, and then all the way up, hands to the heart. Let's go through that one more time, taking our time, not worrying about breathing in a certain way, but we'll hold the postures and practice the postures on the other side. So here we go. Mountain pose at the top of your mat. I'm just switching ends of the mat so I can still watch you. And then remember, we'll be lifting up, we'll be forward folding, we'll be half lifting, and then we'll be stepping back the left leg into lunge this time, walking back, finding our warrior three. So it's a little bouncy now on the left leg. We could be practicing here, or we could be practicing one arm lifted up or two arms lifted up in the full expression of the pose. If you're doing the full expression of warrior three, you want to really use that core strength of hugging the muscles into the bones. Hips are level, foot and knee back there pointing straight to the ground, just like we practiced earlier. And remember, there's no pressure to get to warrior three. Just play with it. And then we'll be walking forward, bringing the right knee to the ground and coming into our side plank variation, facing the other way this time. So right hand on the ground, left arm lifts. The two arms are pulling away from the center of the chest, creating a really open space in the heart center. Nice and strong. And then shifting this bottom leg. So I'm bringing my foot back towards the plant behind me, towards the ivy. And then I'm coming up into my gate pose. So in gate pose, we'd like this hip over top of that knee. So there's a great big huge vertical line of energy running right up the side body. And we're just coming into this posture for half a breath. We won't be holding it for long. Okay, then we'll be wheeling the arms back around, coming into three-legged dog with the right leg lifted, bringing it through and coming into our warrior two on this side. We just kind of practice that transition a couple times if you need to. And this will be happening relatively quickly when we get into our flow. Remember, you can always adjust this leg as we hold these postures for a few breaths. Okay, and then we'll be moving into our reverse warrior. No real pressure on this arm, it's just resting on this back leg. You want to keep the front knee bent. The knee is over top of the ankle with the thigh bone facing in the same direction as the toes. And then from here, moving into your right angle pose. And if you choose to use a block for your right angle pose, that's fine. But it's a lot deeper than I need to go today. So I'll be staying here, I think. Want to make sure the outside edge of your left foot is well grounded into the mat. And again, you're opening up the whole side body. So you're getting a little bit of a real idea of the theme of this flow today. It's all about lengthening the side body and opening the lung tissue and really using your Ujjayi breath. And then from here, we'll be coming into forward fold. And all the way up and hands to the heart. Okay, so we'll start to weave the Ujjayi breath into our flow now. And you might want to have a little sip of water or tea, as we'll be sweating a little bit as we work this flow, using this flow to really help us find those hidden reserves of energy. We always work on that when we practice pranayama, working on those hidden reserves of energy. Okay, mountain pose, hands at the heart, establish your Ujjayi breath. Remember, there's no rush to get through the breath or through this movement. Here we go. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, right leg steps back. Inhale, walk your hands back, lifting your left leg. And maybe as you exhale, you gather the energy into the core and lift into your warrior three. Take a full breath wherever you find yourself in warrior three. And then walking up to plank, take a full inhale. Gather the left knee up to the left elbow as you exhale. Inhale, drop the left knee, pivot on the right foot, and open into side plank. Exhale here, gathering all the energy into the belly. Adjust your bottom leg and inhale up. Exhale over into gate pose. Inhale, bringing the arms forward, pushing back into downward facing dog. As you inhale, bring the left leg up. Exhale, step the left foot forward, positioning for warrior two. Inhale into warrior two. Take the exhale to adjust your legs if you need a little bit of time to get organized. Inhale, sun warrior or reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. Inhale, step the feet together, find your half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift all the way up. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, arms come up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chest extends forward. Exhale, left leg comes back and you find lunge. Inhale, walk your hands back, lift the right leg. As you exhale, gather the energy into the core. And on your next inhale, you might lift up into warrior three. Hold here for the exhale. Inhale, walk your hands back forward, plank. Exhale, right knee comes to right elbow. Inhale, drop the right knee, pivot on the left foot, and open up into side plank. Hold here for the exhale, gathering the energy into the core. Inhale, push back into downward facing dog, right leg lifts. Exhale, bring the right foot all the way forward and get ready for warrior two. Inhale and exhale in your warrior two. It's getting more challenging to hold slow ujjayi breathing, isn't it? Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. Inhale, step your feet forward, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Let's take a pause. Maybe we'll do one more round of that, and we might add a little something on, tiny bit. And now you can see why it was so important for us to take the time at the beginning of class to really establish our ujjayi breath and really to establish how to do that while you're moving. Because when you're doing all these fancy postures, it's very easy to clench your breath or hold your breath or hitch through your breath. But this is a breathing practice. Movement just came to the party. It didn't send out the invitations. So we want to make sure that the breath is what we're really focusing on, even though we have all these complicated movements. If you're finding this level of movement just a little bit overwhelming or not what you need today, know that you can just Pick the postures out of the flow that you like. Use the chair. You've been doing this for a while. Use the chair for plank pose. Don't do all the movements. Just stay in warrior two. Do whatever you need to do to make the breath the #1 star of the show. Okay, one more round. Ujjayi breath. 4 or 5 second inhale, 4 or 5 second exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and right leg back into lunge. Inhale, walk the hands back. I'm playing around in warrior one for the whole next breath. As I inhale, I'm walking forward to three-legged dog or three-legged plank. Exhale, bring the left knee forward to the elbow. Inhale, drop the left knee, stretch out the right leg and lift the arm. And then for a little bit of fun, as you exhale, see if you can just balance and find a kneeling half, balancing half move. And then we can drop that foot if you've lifted it, push up, get ready for gate pose. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, coming to three-legged dog. Our left leg will lift up. Exhale, step the left foot forward and pivot on the back foot. So we're getting ready for our warrior two sequence now. Get the architecture of your warrior two in a safe place for you. Breathe in and out. On your next inhale, side warrior or reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. Inhale, step your feet together, find a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms sweep to the sky. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, hands to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And this time the left leg steps back into lunge. As you inhale, walk your hands back. Get ready to be bouncy on the left leg. Finding some version of a warrior one pose here. Full breath. And then you can walk your hands forward. Inhale here. Exhale, knee comes to left elbow. And then as you inhale, drop the knee, open up into side plank, or find your balancing version. You want a little extra challenge at this point in practice. On your next inhale, transition up and exhale over. Inhale, arms come back to the top of the mat. Three-legged dog, right leg lifts. Exhale, bring the right foot forward, pivot on the back foot, come up into your warrior two shape. Full breath here. Next inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, side angle pose. And when you're ready, inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Let's stay in the forward fold for a few breaths here. So bending your knees as much as you need to so that you can feel comfortable using your hands with the blocks, if that makes the posture more accessible. And at the end of your Ujjayi exhale, really hug the belly muscles in and notice how organically you move a little bit more deeply into the forward fold, just because you use your core muscles in that way. And then when you're ready to inhale, please place your hands on the ground and step your legs back to plank pose. taking a full Ujjayi breath. Inhale and exhale here. And as you exhale, folding your body to the earth, bringing your hands forward under your forehead for crocodile pose. Now, to my friends that don't care to be on their bellies, let me show you a little alternative to that. You can grab your block. If you don't have a block, you can use a full roll of toilet paper or a rolled up blanket. You're going to sit in your chair with the block in between your shoulder blades, your feet placed carefully on the floor, and you can work with us, just follow the cues now, and really do the same motions as we're going to be doing on the ground. So for my friends that are on their bellies, let's just take a moment here. If you're in the chair, it's seated mountain pose. If you're on the ground, it's a crocodile pose. Let's take a moment to reestablish Ujjayi breath. So I'm hoping at this point in class, your breath is really moving deeply into your body. And you feel a lot of activity, not just in the front of your body when you breathe, but obviously in the sides, because we've been working on the side body. So your right side and your left side moving as you breathe. And of course, the back lungs, the back of your body moving as you breathe. So we want full engagement of all the lungs, big balloons, opening and closing in the chest. Okay. So let me join you in crocodile pose. Be a little bit more aware of how you're placing the legs. So for both my friends in the chair and those on the ground, try to align the legs parallel with each other and make a good connection between your feet and the floor. So if you're sitting in a chair, it's the soles of the feet you want to press into the floor. And if you're on your belly, then you want to press the tops of your feet into the floor. Press your thighs into the floor. We're going to take our hands now and hold on to the arms or the sides of the chair if you can. And if you don't have a chair, if you're on your belly, bring your hands beside you and come up onto your fingertips. So one of my teachers calls these tiger paws. Gather the shoulder blades close to the spine. Pull the collarbones wide. And as you inhale, fill those big, huge lungs with lots of Ujjayi breath and float the body up and away. Exhale, release that. Inhale, big, huge lung. And then exhale, release that. Let's come into that a couple more times using your measured Ujjayi breath. Inhaling for a count of 4 or 5 seconds and exhaling for the same amount of time. Deep, full breaths. Let's do 2 more. And then for my friends that are already on your bellies, please just roll over onto your backs. And for my friends that have been sitting in a chair, would you like to join us now on the ground on our backs? So I'm just going to shift my blanket so I have some cushioning for my spine here. We'll start with our knees bent and hopefully a relaxed spine. Reestablish your Ujjayi breath. And then when you're ready, let's come up onto our forearms. We could call this TV watching pose, I guess. And then when you're ready, we'll have a little bit of movement here. We'll start with just the legs. See how that goes? If you need to rest at any time, you just lay right back down. And then we could add other things if we want to. So from here, when you're ready, we'll inhale, really let those lungs fill in 3 dimensions again. And then exhale, stretch one leg out, gather the muscles into the core, and then inhale. Exhale, inhale. Now here's a little something else that you could do if you're getting bored doing this. As you stretch the leg out and exhale, really gather the muscles into the core, you could reach the opposite arm for that side of your body, really gathering the muscles into the core. Inhale, lungs fill. Exhale, reach. Now this is a difficult movement. See if you can slow it down and match it to your breath. Really focusing on the movement of the lungs, the sound of the Ujjayi breath. Last one. And then let's let our backs rest completely to the earth again. Continuing with the Ujjayi breath just a little bit longer. Seeing if we can still allow that Ujjayi breath to help us connect to our innermost world and to help us find that sense of calm that comes when we feel integrated and coordinated. So remember, even though today had all kinds of crazy postures woven into it, it was a breathing practice. This is a pranayama class. Okay, let's take our block and place it in between the knees. Now, if you don't have a block at home, again, a full box of Kleenex does the job, or a full roll of toilet paper. And you don't absolutely have to have the block. I just really find it helps me to keep my mind on the lower body in bridge pose and use a lot more of the big mover muscles to make the pose happen. So when you're ready, arms at the sides, palms pressing firmly into the earth, take an inhale, push into your feet, and push your knees away from you. Exhale, lower down, and then weave in your Ujjayi breath. Hugging the muscles into the bones at the end of the exhale. And you're welcome to keep moving dynamically like this, or take a rest if today's been a lot for you. The option would be now to inhale, lift up your hips, hold bridge pose. Exhale, push all the air out of the belly. And at the end of the exhale, scoop the belly up, expand the ribs, create a big hollow here. And then inhale and take a big breath in, fill the lungs. Hi, Natalie. And exhale, lower down. Whenever I do something like that, I need a full breath in between rounds to fully process what's just happened. If you want, we can try that again. Inhale, coming up. Ujjayi breath. Exhale, all breath expelled. Hold the breath out. Scoop the belly up. Create a real hollow here. Inhale, relax, fill the lungs. And exhale, lower down. So we're getting a bit deeper into the breath now. If that doesn't feel right for you, rest or do what we were doing earlier. Last one. Inhale. Exhale. Keep exhaling. Relax. Inhale, fill the lungs completely. And exhale, lower down. And let's just stay still for 2 or 3 rounds of Ujjayi breath. That was very deep work. Let's finish our movement today with a little bit of half knee to chest pose. Inhale, arms can stretch back behind you. Exhale, hug one knee in towards your chest. Inhale, arms stretch. Exhale, other knee into the chest. Inhale, arms stretch, and both knees in towards the chest. Let's repeat that pattern 2 more times. And I'd love it if you could slow your breath down even more. But we can let go of Ujjayi now. Let your breath be a little quieter, a little slower, a little more, summertime and the living is easy. Not so much work. Just feeling the wonderful freedom in the whole area of the lungs and the diaphragm, all the stretching and vibrational energy you brought to that area of your body. It might bring a real sense of aliveness to your body this morning. Last time you hug both knees in towards the chest, you can stay there. Do a little bit of movement if you like. Take any other movements. An inversion would go great here if that's your jam. And then when you're ready, we'll move into our Shavasana position. And feel free to use some pillows or blankets to help you find a comfortable way to rest. And now we release all attachment to breathing one way or another. We simply allow the breath to find its own rhythm naturally and organically. So the breath is very quiet now, and we're not counting or measuring it in any way. And let's explore the body for a few minutes and just kind of see what happened for us during class today. What are the things that have shifted or settled or come into alignment? So let's begin with the feeling of your head resting on the ground. Can you feel the weight of your head? Are you willing to let it go completely towards the ground? It's pretty solid. It can handle it. Can you let the forehead relax? Can you let the eyelids be heavy? Can you let your smile soften? And the tip of your tongue just rest on the roof of your mouth. The rest of your tongue muscle pool in the bottom of your mouth. You feel how that helps you to unhinge your jaw. Notice the expression on your face when you start to give the command to relax some of the facial muscles. Feel your arms resting heavily at your sides and notice the shape that your hands have taken. Sometimes we unconsciously grip things in our fingers. And we don't need to hold anything right now. And then notice the heaviness of your legs, whether they're draped over pillows or blankets or just au naturel. Feel the heaviness of your legs as the muscles relax around the bones. And the bones themselves become quite heavy, giving into gravity. Notice the sensations that may be present for you in the soles of your feet. Sometimes there's some tingling or some pulsing or some warmth or coolness. Anything you feel is interesting, I think. And then please gently draw your awareness up from the feet and up the legs. into the area around the pelvic floor. You may recall we did some torso circles at the beginning of class and really got the energy cooking there, I hope. Feel your sitting bones right and left, the sacrum. Sense the pulsing of the deep organs in the pelvic bowl. And see if it's possible to offer relaxation to this very important part of your body where so much hard work happens during the day. Softening the belly, relaxing the belly, allowing the belly to become a bit liquid. We did a lot of core work today, so make sure we've restored the operating system there. And then drawing awareness to the building blocks of your spine, each of those beautiful bones that hitch together to create your mobility and your stability. And let all the connective tissue and all the muscles surrounding these bones feel the support of the earth, accept the help, and relax your spine. Relax all the way up through the low back, middle back, upper back, even into the neck, and even where the neck joins into the brain stem. Greet your good friend, the brain, and offer the brain softening and quieting and relaxation too. And now that we've brought the body into a place of rest, more or less, please return your attention to the breath. Breathe softly and gently and naturally in and out through the nose. Noticing the gentle rise and fall of your body as the breath oscillates through your tissues. Every day, all day, your entire life, the breath moves you. And we're usually way too busy to notice that. But in our practice today, we focused on breath, the movements of breath, and how it inspired large body movement. And now we're still, so still feel the movement of the breath. And I'll go so far as to say, worship the miracle of the breath, the miracle of your life. And if you'd like to follow me to journey into the center of your chest, where we see the spiritual heart, the Hrit Padma, as we talked about last night in class, and notice the flame burning brightly there as you give thanks, as you feel gratitude, as you connect to the miracle of your life, the wonder of breathing and being alive. If you have more time to spend in Shavasana today, please take it. If it's time for you to move on to other activities, please bring this sense of connection if you can, gratitude and wonder as you make your way back into your seated position where you started class today. And to finish our formal practice, maybe we'll take the hands together at the heart in a gesture of prayerfulness and gratitude, and finish with the sacred sound of Om. So please join me as I inhale. Namaste. I'd love to chat. So just give me a second to stop the recording here.